2 days ago, a potential GTA 6 map was leaked, and there has been a decent amount of evidence that says this actually could be the GTA 6 map. This isn't a fake, although there is that slim chance this is just one elaborate hoax. But assuming for the sake of this video that the map we saw 2 days ago is the actual GTA 6 map, I thought it would be interesting to compare it to GTA 5's Los Santos. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at in today's video. Now, before we even get into the GTA 6 map, this isn't anything new from Rockstar. Before Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, actually about 2 years prior to it releasing, this map was released. And at the time, there was a lot of people saying, hey, that's not the map. There's no way that's Red Dead Redemption 2's map. The maps don't leak early. But sure enough, that's the same map we see here, which is the map of the actual game. Now, what's interesting to keep in mind is the fact that that original leak obviously was in a different, I guess, theme than the one we ended up getting. The one that was leaked had a bunch of colors on it. It was definitely probably maybe a beta map or something. It probably was something early on in development. And then they cleaned it up and made it all nice looking for like the start menu. So this is what you would see, I guess, when you're in the start menu. But I just wanted to point that out just in case people don't remember that. This isn't anything new. Maps leaking, that's pretty damn big when it comes to Rockstar games. Now the GTA 6 map, quick rundown in case you don't know what happened. These two pictures, I'm going to put this one up first, 1985. And then we have this picture of that same map, but with a couple other different pictures. These were leaked actually 2 years ago. And then 2 days ago, we got this picture on 4chan with no text, nothing. No one said anything about this picture. They just simply posted the picture. But it is pretty much the exact same picture as the one of the island on the bottom of that original leak in 2018. So 2 years later, someone posted a map that is basically identical to the one in the original leak. And then put all together, combining both of the leaks, this is what we ended up getting. We have the main island at the top left. I'm assuming that's like Vice City. That's the city at the top there. And then the bottom part of that island could be the Everglades, like mentioned. We have the island over on the far right, which could be, I don't know, some sort of Caribbean island or something. The island south of the actual big island, though, that could be the Florida Keys. And then we have the newer island, I'm going to call it because it was released or leaked a couple of days ago at the bottom right. That one could be either like Cuba or Puerto Rico. And this is going to be Rockstar's take on that. So that's a very quick summary on what has happened and what we know. Now, comparing it to Grand Theft Auto 5's Los Santos. One of the biggest arguments for this being fake is that the island, the real part that they've shown, that could just be a satellite image of real life. So that could just be like from Google Maps. But what someone did, and I thought this was really interesting, they took a very similar crappy style picture of Los Santos and put it side by side. And when you do that, things look almost the same, at least when it comes to the city part. I'm not going to look too much at the nature part, the mountains and stuff, just because that's mountains in Los Santos compared to swamp in Vice City. Also, that could, like the swamp area in this leak map, could be a very, very, very early on iteration of it, so things might not be done. That's why there is a lot more detail in the Los Santos map. But at least comparing it to the city part, you can see the cities look pretty identical when you take both crappy pictures and compare them. That city on the right, if we didn't know if it was Los Santos, you could say the same thing. Oh, well, that's just a satellite composition on top of a GTA map or something like that. So that's the first comparison I thought was very interesting. Now, the second comparison is actually the size. Now, someone, I guess, did the math, maybe, and I'm assuming they compared on the Vice City map we have. There is a pretty big airport runway I'm assuming they took that and then sort of scaled it and maybe compared it to like the Los Santos runway. And what ended up happening was this. Now, obviously the islands are shifted, but just to get an idea of scale, this is potentially what the scale could be. And that is absolutely massive. The Vice City Island is pretty much the exact same size as the Los Santos Island. That new island is slightly, very slightly smaller. And then we actually have that third island, which is maybe the size of the north part of Los Santos, maybe like from the Alamo Sea to the north of the map. And if that is the scale, then that does fit in line with just next-gen gaming and everything going bigger. Considering Los Santos' map came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3 back in 2013, 2 generations later, it would make sense, and it should make sense, that the GTA 6 map would, I guess, be almost tripled that size. And this does fix one of the complaints a lot of us had with GTA's Los Santos, and the fact that it's just one big island. Well, if they make 3 big islands, that solves everyone's problem, because then they'll have actual giant land masses that you can travel. But for the people who want to use boats and want to use airplanes and want to actually go between the islands and have that sort of old school GTA vibe where you do have multiple islands, then here you go. So it's the best of both worlds. And then the only other comparison that I saw, and I'll find the link to the sources for all these. Someone actually did a little fan recreation of what this leaked Vice City map would look like. And comparing it to Los Santos, it is pretty similar. Like we already seen, it is a very similar size, but the first thing, at least to me, that jumps out comparing it in this view is, of course, the bodies of water. Now, it's a little disappointing if this is going to be the case that we have, much like Los Santos, 2 rivers converging in the middle of the map, but they don't go all the way through. I really wish, if this is the map, that the river would go all the way through so you can have the option of taking a boat from the top left all the way to the bottom right. Like this obviously only takes you into like the swamp, and then you have to go out on the left side again. So you can't really get out. Now, perhaps since this is like 3 years old, this map, this could be the early alpha version, and maybe they can end up putting a little river delta or something to connect it to the ocean. That is kind of one of the bigger disappointments that I have with this. Apart from that, though, again, everything does look real similar, which I do think fits the theory that this is real. They obviously know Los Santos worked. I don't think I've seen that many complaints about Los Santos. So basically sort of doing that again in Vice City makes a lot of sense. Now, the only thing we don't know, and I definitely would be curious to know, is if there are more than one major cities. In Los Santos, we only have the city of Los Santos. Sure, you have little Sandy Shores town, little Paleto Bay town, Grapeseed, a little town, but we don't have another major city. Given the topography, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, we can't see if there is another major city. You can maybe assume that the gray in this picture that's titled number 3, that could be like a minor city, but I don't know if we're going to have another major city like the size of the top part, like the size of Vice City or the size of the Miami area. Either way, though, it is pretty dang cool to potentially have the actual GTA 6 map. And to tie it all back together, like I mentioned at the beginning with the Red Dead Redemption 2 map, the change from the leak to the actual picture of it was pretty big, at least as far as how it looked. So what we're seeing is probably super early on, and that's why things might not look as good. So I don't necessarily think that just because some of the parts, especially in the swamp area, are a little weird, I don't necessarily think that's something to decide whether or not this is real or fake. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. That's going to do it. I thought it would be cool to look at this GTA 6 map versus GTA 5, and if this is true, if all this stuff is true, man, I'm excited for this map. 3 islands, very similarly sized to Los Santos. That's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you all for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one.